I'm joined by Dr. Mustafa Caner, Foreign Policy Researcher at the Foundation for Political and Economic Social Research, SETA, Turkey, and also Assistant Professor at the Sakarya University. I want to dive straight into the meat of the issue. Of course, the whole world is looking to the US-Israel war on Iran. Your perspective coming from the Western Asian region, do you think this is a turning point for the region, or is this part of a much longer pattern that we're going to see unfold?
It is definitely one of the decisive moments in the history of the region, and I believe that the region will not be the same after this war, because Iran is not like Syria or Iraq or other, relatively, weak powers, weak states, or in the literature we call them failed states, or like Lebanon. So Iran is a functioning state, and Iran is a strong state with 90+ million people living in the country. It has institutional resilience, has strong institutions, a strong army, and the geographical advantage, also demographic advantage. So it tells us that with superpower and Israel engaging in war with Iran, the region is being faced and will be faced major transformations. For example, Iran wants to formalize its de facto controlling position over Strait of Hormuz. So Iran is not, settling less than, formalizing its regulatory position. It claims that with Oman, they are going to control the strait, and under international law, actually, it's a debated position because other Gulf states also once partly control the strait. So it's a debated position, but since Iran has been forced to engage in this war, I'm saying that this is an unprovoked war against Iran, so unjustified under international law. But they want to turn this position, a strategic position, translate it into a strategic victory. So I think Iran will not settle for less than controlling Strait of Hormuz. They want war reparations. They want guarantees that Iran is not going to be attacked again by the US and Israel. So these all actually conditions and demands are going to change the whole regional structure. If they are going to be met, of course. And if they are not going to be met by the United States, it means that Iran will lose this war. So then the United States will dictate other essential conditions on the region. So one way or another, we will not see the region as the same like before this war.
I think this perspective that you mentioned, I think is also shared by Malaysia, based on what we've heard from the Prime Minister, Dato' Sri Anwar Ibrahim. He shared the same viewpoint as well. But how do you see Turkey specifically navigating this situation, or how they have navigated this, and what sort of role can they play?
As you know, Turkey had tried so hard to prevent this war from happening. So Turkey had activated diplomatic mechanisms prior to this war. Turkey talked with Iran, with the United States, with other regional actors like Saudi Arabia, Qatar. They wanted to prevent this. However, the war erupted. So Turkey's priority now is to contain this war. You know, in a way or another, stopping this war, spread to another areas, contain it, and if it's possible, stop the war, end it now, forcing actors, parties to sit down, talk, and engage in diplomatic process and find a solution, a political solution, not a military solution, because Turkey doesn't believe that military solutions are the best solutions or better solutions compared to other solutions. Only the political solutions, inclusive, all-encompassing, addressing all parties' concerns, could be the ultimate productful solution. So that's why Turkey is pushing, and Turkey has a unique position with regard to these parties engaging in war, because Turkey is able to talk simultaneously with Iran and the United States. So that's why Turkey has a unique position. Turkey has functioning lines, diplomatic lines with all actors, regional actors also, and they also initiated, Turkey with Egypt, Pakistan, and Saudi Arabia initiated a new process to end this war. So I would say Turkey's priority is diplomacy, ending this war, and boosting stability and security in the region.
What about the role specifically played by President Recep Erdogan? What are your thoughts on how the president has so far positioned the country diplomatically and strategically, particularly in resetting relations with some of the countries in the region that we've seen over the past few years?
Yeah, sure. Turkey lately normalized and developed its relations with Saudi Arabia and other Gulf states. Qatar has always been in an exceptional position with regard to relations with Turkey. We have a military base in Qatar. We had put great effort in 2017 in an effort to protect Qatar from this blockade in that time. So we have friendly relations with Qatar. We have friendly relations with Saudi Arabia and other Gulf states as well. So President Erdogan has a unique leadership style, and his priorities are stability, peace, and regional responsibility. That means that anything happens in the region concerns Turkey, because Turkey shares a long border with Iran, Syria, Iraq. So Turkey is the central player in the region. That's why regional responsibility is the key concept here, which is followed by President Erdogan, and he also emphasized stability, peace, boosting economic relations, developing political and economic relations at the same time, and also societal relations. So that's why Israel's actions, which are threatening the regional stability, is unacceptable for President Erdogan and for Turkey as well. So I think President Erdogan contributes to the regional stability and peace in that sense, and that's why Israel is constantly targeting President Erdogan personally. Yes.
That is looking outward, looking externally, but if we were to look inward, look internally in Turkey, of course, I think for a lot of the Malaysian audience, the primary concern, I guess, by default of distance geographically, our major concern is the sort of economic impact that we're already feeling in the region. How exposed is Turkey's economy to developments in this conflict, and what sort of measures have been put in place to mitigate potential fallout from the conflict?
Turkey like with other regional players, and also not only regional actors, but the whole world is being affected by this war, economically, directly or indirectly. So Turkey is also being affected by this war, has been affected economically, first and foremost, and also security-wise, because Turkey is sharing a long border with Iran. So, but concerning your question about the economic aspect, as you know, Turkey is dependent on, energy sources. Turkey is exporting oil and natural gas, LNG, and other forms. And increasement in this, the prices of these energy sources directly affecting Turkish economy. It's a fact. But we want to contain that negative effects. So that's why the government and economic players in Turkey, they are searching for alternatives. They are searching for ways to contain these economic fallouts. And they have been successful so far to make the Turkish public being less affected by this war's economic effects, economic fallouts. But if this war drags on, I mean, if it becomes a protracted, prolonged war, if it becomes a war of attrition like, Ukraine-Russia example, so unfortunately, we will feel the economic fallout directly. So that's why Turkey is trying to prevent that from happening. That's why Turkey tries to, activate all these diplomatic channels, diplomatic mechanisms to end this war permanently. And it's the only way to protect Turkish economy and also, global economy as well.
Yeah.